Hey guys, it's Liz from Blue and Hazel and welcome back to my channel. Today's video, I want to talk all things about homeschooling with a baby. And this is something that's just kind of fresh for me. Well, not really fresh, I guess. My baby is now 16 months, so not totally fresh, but we are still in what I consider to be the baby stage with just like interruptions and, constant little needs here and there. And he's kind of turning into a toddler now. He's not like saying words or anything, but he's, walking around and destroying things now. So it looks different than it did when, a year ago. This has probably been one of my hardest years of homeschooling. We're going on year 4 now. And technically it's the first time I've homeschooled with a baby. We have a big gap between my 3rd kid and my 4th kid, 4.5 years. And so last time we had a baby in the house, we didn't have a lot of kids in school. Like my oldest was in preschool. Now we have 3 kids doing school and 3 kids that need mom for math and a kid that needs mom for spelling and a kindergartner learning how to read. And so in my head, I was just like, how am I going to do this? And you just can't be superhuman. Like you can only do what you can do. Probably the best thing that we did that was recommended to me by other homeschool moms was to take a solid 2 months off. It just made the difference between, I feel like, going through that postpartum like crazy, trying to do everything for everyone while healing, while feeding your body, while having a baby, while not sleeping. Like it just took away all of the pressure and I could focus on just enjoying my baby on the couch and feeding my other kids while they played all day. I'm so glad we took 2 months off. And don't forget, like as homeschoolers, we have total freedom over when we take our breaks. I guarantee if you write down things that your kids are doing during the day, you will find that some of those days are really probably, school days. You start to really see like all of these things that you can call school that are part of just living life at home where they're learning and they just don't come necessarily from a workbook. The next thing that I want to say is to do school whenever it works for you. And that might be different than when it worked for me or anybody else that you know. We try to kind of finish by the afternoon so we could go do other stuff or so they could go be free to play. But like I enjoyed that because mentally I was done with school. But once the baby got here, it was like, that didn't work at all. And it just seemed like the day was racing. Like after that 2-month period went by and we started adding in things again, it was like already lunchtime before we had much of anything started. And it was just like taking all day. And so that was for me an expectation thing that I didn't realize. I can't expect to just plow through the day. Like that's not gonna work. They really need me for like individual subjects that they need help with. All 3 of them need me for math. And then my kindergartner needs me to teach him how to read. And then my 3rd grader needs me for his spelling. So that's like, in my head, that's like 5 chunks of the day where those kiddos would need my one-on-one time. And it didn't all happen at once. Like initially, I tried adding in 1 or 2 pockets of time with whatever I thought was the most important. And then trying to be consistent with that and then adding in another pocket of time. And these pockets of time didn't like have a timeline. They were random. It was when I was free. Find when those pockets of time are for you and do school then. But you're going to probably have to like adjust your expectations for when and just know that in those beginning, probably the whole year, the whole first year might just look like not normal school. Like, so I kind of had to go through and figure out like what's busy work that I can cut out, because busy work was not serving our family at all and that in this season. And I realized it more and more and more, like, what's the point of this? What's the point of this? What is this accomplishing? And I was just kind of going through everything we were doing, seeing what brought us happiness and, cheerful days of school, and then seeing what other things were just like, we're doing this because it's in a worksheet that we're supposed to do, but is it actually necessary? And so just like be brutal and cut out busy work. This is the season with your little baby where you don't need any extra fluff. One other tip that I have for just homeschooling that really helped us is kind of utilizing some baby gear. A few things that were like game changer for us from day one was the Baby Bjorn. And if you don't own one of those, oh my goodness, it was gifted to me, but let me tell you, that will be the best purchase of your entire like baby, first 6 months. It was just incredible. So I would bounce him and he would just kind of sit there and be really cute and goo and gaw while we would read from the couch. And it just bounces with your foot, and that really enabled me to have my hands free and to just kind of sit there and bounce a happy little baby. Then at one point, I think he was like 6 months old, and he was a crawler at that point, I think. And we had been gifted a little activity bouncer toy thing, that it's like a circular thing, and you set them inside and they bounce and like play with stuff. For homeschooling, that was incredible because for 10 minutes at a time, which is a lot when you have a crawling baby, 10 minutes is like amazing. We could really get stuff done. And so I'd put him in there and we would, work with one kid on one thing, and he was happy for a few minutes. One other really practical thing that I wanted to mention that is so important when you're homeschooling with a baby, especially if you're breastfeeding, and that is to feed your body. And I mean like feed your body before you feed your kids, because if mama is like angry, hungry, you are just gonna have horrible days. You're gonna be an angry mom, you're going to be snappy mom. And I know because I had quite a few days where just things were going really badly, and I realized it was because I was taking care of everyone else first thing, and not feeding myself till like 9-10 o'clock. And that's like, as a breastfeeding mom, the worst thing, because you need to eat so much and you need to drink so much and you need to have those, you need to nourish your body. For me, what that looked like was making sure that I ate breakfast every single morning, first thing, and also having snacks around for myself that were easy to grab, like protein snacks, fruit. But also for those first 3 to 6 months, I stocked our fridge with easy to grab snacks that the kids could get without me. Depending on what age kids you have, this may or may not be a good idea. It wasn't ideal as far as like having healthy 3 meals a day, but it was my sanity and it allowed us to homeschool one kid or 2 kids at a time, and then not have to worry about food so much. And if you homeschool, you know that your day revolves around food: breakfast, dishes; lunch, dishes; get dinner ready, dishes. And so that was just one thing that I could mentally offload for a while till I could kind of figure out how to plan ahead better. Sometimes we would start the day and it just wasn't working. Like, we would start doing school and then we'd have, something happen, and then another thing happen, and then somebody else needed something. It's just like one thing after the other. And I just felt like, okay, this is not working. Or I would get to a place where I was just grumpy and like needed to not feel like I had to do school right then and there. And so, like, when you're not in a good headspace and you're snapping at your kids and you're rushing through stuff, it's like, put the books away. And I had to really just let myself put the books away. And I encourage you to, and then we would just try again later in the day, maybe a different nap time. You have permission not to finish something if you need to not finish, because I feel like more than finishing that one assignment that day or, checking that box that day, like, my kids actually deserve to have a peaceful home, a nice mom, and that can sometimes really just not happen when I'm like, hearing, like, when I'm spread thin and I have crying over here and whining over here, or a kid fight over here, or somebody needs wiped over here, and it's just like too many things. And so when you need to call it, just call it and try again. So I had to kind of let go of the idea that we would all do school together and the one room schoolhouse or whatever, and it just, for this phase, wasn't working. So what we had to do is chunk out my time with some one-on-one time with each kid. And so that looked like maybe school was drawn out more for the whole day almost, or like, 20 minutes here, 20 minutes there, 15 minutes here, 10 minutes there. But it helped me to stay more calm and to feel like I could focus on one thing with one kid. And, hopefully someday there'll be a time when we can all sit at the table again and we can, all do our math and I can bounce around and help all the kids together. So I just want to give you like an example of what a day looks like for us. And it's really changed from the time when we had a little tiny baby. At that point when I felt like, I spent most of my day just on the couch nursing and reading books out loud. That was kind of our day. And we would just find book lists of books that were like fun to read out loud, but also, educational. And so if you are needing some book recommendations, go check out Sarah McKenzie from Read Aloud Revival. She's got incredible book lists on there. She has ones by subject, she has them by age, by gender, just anything that you can think of. She's like the book queen of the homeschool world. A typical day is like us eating breakfast. It's the baby waking up, kids getting dressed, and then I try to get dressed. I just feel like if I can get dressed and do my makeup or my hair, usually one but not both, then I feel like the day just goes better. I don't know. It's like I feel more prepared. I just like feel ready to tackle the day. I feel less tired. After that, then if everything's going well, usually we'll try to do our Bible time, and I have a video I will put in the description of kind of how we do that right now. It may change in the future, but that's how we've been doing it for a while and how it's working. And then usually they go play, then maybe half an hour later, everybody comes back in. If the baby's happy and doing well, then we will try to do some read aloud. And we've kind of played around with like, do I try to work one-on-one and at first and get those subjects that I really want to knock out, like math or whatever. Do I do that first and then like family subjects later? And we played with it both ways, and you have to figure out what works for you. And I kind of have figured that I really enjoy trying to do anything we can that involves reading out loud on the couch while the baby's awake in the morning. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I do try. And lots of small increments of reading, like 10 minutes here, 15 minutes there. And then that's kind of how we try to plug through like our family subjects or just books that we're reading together as a family. For the individual things like that the kids need me for, then we kind of try to save that for when the baby's sleeping. In my head, I know I have about 2 hours a day where the baby's sleeping, and we can cram school into that time if need be. But I do try to get some of that done in the morning if he's doing well and happy. I will ask like one of the big kids to go play with the baby or to kind of like, bring him some toys or just kind of entertain him a little bit so that I can work with someone else. As far as expectations go, in the very early days, I was really frustrated that I didn't have this alone time that I was used to. I was just really, really missing it. And I used to take nap time, and that was kind of like my recharge time. I could do other things. And I had a friend say, if you're really struggling to get anything done in school, like you might just have to use that nap time for school. As we are trying to get more done while he's awake, I have a little bit more time during nap time now, but it's there if we need it. And so you might have to just sacrifice that time for a while, which kind of sucks. And, but at the same time, it's like, it's doable. It's a season. When we've had to use that nap time for school, then I like let the kids watch a show when the baby wakes up. It might not be the same type of alone time as I used to be used to, but it's still quiet. It's still like snuggle time with the baby, or it's still like he's putzing around bringing me things, and he's busy, but it's not the same as like being totally on duty with the big kids, I think, like who are chatting with you and asking you questions, and just totally different dynamic. And so it still feels restful to me. One last thing that I do want to mention is kind of ask yourself, what are my homeschool goals? Like, go back to the basics and say, what are the non-negotiable things that I'm going to try really hard to make happen so that today can be considered a really good day? And it's really easy to get those priorities out of whack, and it's really easy to try to overstuff your day, because taking care of your baby alone could be like your whole day. And when you were a first-time mom, that was your whole day. And now you have like so many plates that you're spinning and carrying, and how do we do it all? And I think honestly, we can't do it all. And so we need to go back, cut stuff out, and figure out what are my priorities. When we started to add school back in, I realized that I was actually adding in like subjects, and I was leaving out our Bible time. And our Bible time for me is like actually really important. We were leaving that out and adding in math, and then adding in math and handwriting. And I was feeling like I needed to reassess some priorities. And so what I did is I went back and I said, okay, I'm going to make sure that this is the first thing we do, and all other things happen after that as far as like school subjects go. And I just kind of had to reprioritize our day. I'll put a video below in the description how we do our Bible time. But hopefully this just helps you feel like you're not alone in the journey of homeschooling with a baby. Definitely one of the harder seasons of our journey, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Obviously, we love our little guy so much, and he adds so much fun to our family. I'm very thankful for him, but it has been a tricky just transition to figuring out how to get more stuff done. But just remember, your priority is your baby and your kids. School will happen, and learning happens naturally all the time, every day. Just look for it. And then you can add things back in as you adjust. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up for me, and don't forget to subscribe for more homeschool videos. We'll see you next time.